they become more innovative, that they develop new techniques to do more with less. And what we're seeing at the heart of this innovation is a training technique that used to require two separate AI models that were usually about the same size, that you would need to scale up and train at the same time in order to be able to build something like OpenAI's O1. And what DeepSeek does is it makes it so you only need one and a little bit of another model, which exponentially reduces the amount of computing power that you need to be able to train a model, because you need less AI to be able to train the AI. And so I think that this technological advancement could create cost-cutting measures that are as severe as down to $6 million. Now, the question is not if DeepSeek is going to displace current existing AI leaders in the US, but the question is more so how soon before we adopt these techniques to supercharge our own AI on better hardware. If DeepSeek was able to build so much with older hardware, how much will we be able to build with newer hardware like that which is committed under Project Stargate that Donald Trump, yes. President Trump just...
So where does that leave the question of whether or not our industry is overspending, over-provisioning to the build-out?
Well, let's think about it like this. If we are building the AI superhighway, then the equivalent of what DeepSeek just did was come out with a way to make existing cars 2 times as fuel efficient. Now, of course, if they're the only car on the market that has that kind of technology in it, then everyone is going to flock to use that type of car, because who doesn't want 2x fuel efficiency? That's the similar sort of thinking behind developers and the excitement in the community about being able to use some of these advanced AI tools for a fraction of the cost. However, once those techniques become adopted by the rest of the industry, it will call into question how much more powerful and how much faster we'll be able to move as the United States, given that we already have more hardware. Now, for folks who are wondering, well, why didn't we figure this out before? Have we been overspending? I think this is a larger challenge and a larger question of what we as Americans believe will drive innovation in the market. Up until this point, we've been following closed source models that are owned, developed, and created and maintained by private companies who claim that as intellectual property. What DeepSeek showed us is that their innovative solutions happened not only because of their unique environment where they were forced to build a little bit more creatively, whereas companies like OpenAI and Anthropic have access to a lot of hardware, so they might not have been thinking, how do we do more than with less here? But simultaneously, because they open sourced the model, they allowed anyone and everyone to see how the code was written. Their research paper and their technical report about their model is extremely detailed. They gave more detail than Meta has given in any of their open source models. And so because they opened up the knowledge base to be contributed to more people, their pace is moving faster. So the US has to ask, how can we not only compete on the closed source side with all of our proprietary companies, how can we also now invest in our own open source models to compete similarly?
You know, you made an analogy to more fuel-efficient cars. I think data shows more fuel-efficient cars lead people to drive more. And there's plenty of people who are quoting Jevons paradox this morning, talking about the fact that an increase in efficiency for a particular resource leads to more use of that resource. Are you in that camp as well?
Absolutely. I believe fully that these new innovative techniques will lead to the development of more models, more testing, and will lead us towards AGI faster. Being able to leverage the same existing compute to do twice the amount of work is the same argument and excitement that we have about quantum computing, that these new computers are going to allow us to do the same type of computational tasks we do now at a fraction of the cost for a fraction of the resource. This, however, instead of being maybe a technological hardware innovation that we can see, feel, and touch, is a software improvement in the time and the amount of computing power it takes to train an AI model, something that will be widely adopted. And we've seen these kinds of trends where companies open source something, go ahead, and then another company picks it up and makes it better. Perfect example of this is the actual GPT architecture that Google first open sourced, but then OpenAI picked up and turned into a product. So we've seen this kind of knowledge pass around in this way. So while this moment may feel scary for people who don't understand some of the underlying technological improvements, long-term, it is an opportunity for the U.S. to solidify its dominance as a leader in AI once we are able to adopt these cost-cutting techniques and pair them with our cutting-edge industry worldwide leading hardware to be able to build models that surpass anything we've seen to date.
What do you think are the implications then for Project Stargate, which, of course, you noted earlier, given, $500 billion in investment there? Does this change the calculus for the type of infrastructure that should be part of this CapEx project, the type of spending that the U.S. government and U.S. companies should be doing for AI innovation?
100%. I think that we need to separate the two, that DeepSeek itself focuses on models and Stargate is focusing on infrastructure. And you need both to be able to win the AI race, proverbially speaking. It's not an either or choice, you need both. And what DeepSeek introduced was an improvement to the way that models trained, but we still need that infrastructure to be able to unlock it. So it doesn't, DeepSeek doesn't make Project Stargate obsolete. It actually makes it smarter. Once Stargate models developed using Stargate's infrastructure can adopt DeepSeek's cost-cutting techniques, it will make U.S. AI smarter, faster, and more sustainable without compromising our sovereign control over our own technologies. This will allow us to leverage that infrastructure that's provided under Stargate to go further than previously anticipated. So I don't think that it means we need to invest less in infrastructure, but it does bring up questions about, well, hey, if we can do more with less, then who else can we give access to? I know a lot of the infrastructure that we've been looking at has been to support some of the development of these closed source models. But what does it look like if we use some of that infrastructure to support new startups, new open source models that can create and drive even further innovation in the same way we just saw DeepSeek do?
Yeah, already the street's trying to look at what some of these companies could save theoretically on CapEx, what that would add to EPS, and even how that's making up for some of today's price action. XIA, pretty fascinating, and this is just day one of this particular wrinkle. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
As we head to break, here's our